I think this is the whole intro right here. Us discussing the possibilities of intros.
With the SNEWS?
Is there aliens? Nope. There's just SNEWS.
There's not aliens, but there is ancient aliens with extra Bronson.
Okay. All right, welcome to the SNEWS. Not to be confused with SNEWS. This is the Sensus News headquarters. SNEWS, SNEWS. I'm really stoked to get this kicked off. We have the announcement of the World Cup schedule, and we're going to patch in a very special guest to give us some light on that. And
The 5-time champion.
who would that be? And then we have Crankworx, which is up in the air. After Rotorua, which definitely going to plug our riders with. I had Kyle Strait taking home slalom for Sensus. And then we had Thomas Lemoyne taking home speed and style for Sensus. Greg Watson second. Casey Brown took second, I believe, for the women. And then our boy, Emilio Hansen, MJ. He arguably best slopestyle run ever, as it should be. I think every new slopestyle run should be the best because it's still progressing. But yeah, Emilio Hansen taking home the slopestyle victory.
Dude,
Look
just got
out
so
for
much
his
style.
Seriously,
Like,
man.
so much style. You can't compete with that shit.
Yeah, it's good to see because that's what made Brandon. Like he developed all the things that everyone else copied, and then Emil's coming in and throwing in, like, sure, he does all, as many bar spins and whips as you can do in it, but then he'll also buzz his shoulder after doing it.
You got like your Nikolais who have every trick in the book and do the biggest tricks, but guys like Emil can make simple tricks look so damn good with just a little bit of extra steez, getting that Euro just
I think
right
if
up in
Nikolai
there.
rode Sensus grips, he'd probably get that added flair. I've talked to him about it. I think it's hurting him in his heart. One of these days,
He's like,
we'll
grips,
get that budget, baby.
visor.
One of these days, we'll get the budget.
Dude, do you remember when he was running Sensus, when he was getting paid by Aragon? That was like,
damn.
No comment.
That was
it's cool. They said they were down with it because the road was too hard or something. It's fine.
Nah,
I thought that was amazing, and shout out to Nikolai because he's like, dude, I'll run your grips. They're awesome. Like, I don't want to run these because he ran their seats and whatever. Still promoting the brand, but that was a nice treat to have him on Sensus for a little while.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a cruel thing to force a rider to do. It's like one of your only 2 real riding contact points, 3 if you're an enduro rider or a cross-country rider, but it's something you feel the most. You feel way more with your hands than your feet. Like, why wouldn't you be so particular about your grips? I don't know why that's not left open with all contracts, really. Like, why would you force a rider to ride something they don't want?
Yeah, or just our biggest goal at Sensus is to try to develop the best products that we want to ride, and then if everyone has their own identity, especially with grips, to be able to create grips for everyone and make everyone's dream grip. So I guess Ergon needs to just listen to the riders more. I've heard it from numerous riders.
Or listen to us. If Ergon watches this, which you probably won't, they will. You guys should just hire Sensus as your marketing team. We can market you guys and us together in harmony, being separately opposites.
Surrogate?
If anyone has a surrogate
mother?
promoter, if anyone has an Ergon seat out there and you look underneath and it says "Made by Nerds," you can thank Sensus for that. So
it could be the world's greatest rivalry. Like, we can be the Sith for their Jedi. We'll be the bad guys. It's fine. We like black and red. You guys can be blue and whatever, purple, what other colors?
Chad Reed versus James Stewart.
Dude, we'll be Bub Stewart every time. You guys can be Chad Reed. You got to be Chad Reed. He's still there, dude. He's still doing it.
At least we can pull the race card.
Yeah, he's still doing. You guys are still doing it.
yeah, so the Sensus Ergon rivalry will definitely continue going on, and it's all in good fun. They are businesses, but we're on the laughing side of it because they make a lot more money than we do.
Yeah, no, they make money, which is sick.
But
we have so much fun, which is also
pretty sick.
One day, we're growing.
One of these days we'll meet in the middle.
Some
we'll
sick
have our
nerds.
integrity.
Yeah.
Sounds like the coronavirus. Sick nerds.
All right, so we have, after the World Cups, we're going to have our little insight to Crankworx. We have another special guest for that. And then we're going to go into the raddest new videos coming out. It seems like there was a time when everyone had to wait a year to see the new videos that were coming out and the new tricks and everything, but now it's kind of grown a little redundant. And there are definitely too many to watch, and people creating multiple videos in each segment of the sport every single day. So we'll try to narrow those down and critique them a little bit and just have some fun with them. But there's been some really cool edits that have come out in the recent, I don't know, half Corona period. Like there's been actually quite a bit coming out.
It's content season. Everyone's sitting at home. Like it's a perfect time to start a podcast.
Yeah.
Start a video series.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everyone's firing up something.
Yeah, there's opportunities everywhere for sure, and we're definitely trying to make hay while the sun shines and try to give you guys some content to keep you stoked and give you a little bit of insight for whatever we can provide. And
Yeah.
this is our maiden voyage, so bear with us, and we'll work out the kinks. But thanks for tuning in. You can kick us off, Ray. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about while we call Gwin? What do you want to talk about with Gwin?
What do we want to talk about with Gwin? Butt stuff.
Does Gwin like butt
What do we
stuff?
talk about with Gwin? How strong he is? How much he can deadlift? If he could deadlift all of his cars, would he?
That's what we should start asking people. It's just random ass questions.
We should
So
call-
we're not here to interview you. We're just here to see how much you can actually deadlift. We would like to FaceTime you while you
So
work out.
you secured an interview with 5-time World Cup champ, and all you want to do is ask me how much I can deadlift. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't really care about
Doesn't
racing.
everyone?
I just want to know about what he's doing on the side because he does cool stuff. He's got cool cars and cool house.
We motos down every week. Dude probably rips on a moto.
We need more Aaron Gwin moto edits.
Mm-hmm. Sick of seeing him riding a mountain bike.
Yeah,
We get it, dude. We get it, dude. You're good at riding mountain bikes.
Yeah, crossover stuff is coal.
I think that it is cool too, and I've had a few people on my channels say like, "Hey, more moto stuff." I'm like, "Really? You want to watch me ride a moto?" But at the same time, I would rather watch Gwin ride a moto than most of the pros out there because it's cool to see like how good they are compared to the pros.
Absolutely.
And just watching someone that's not their main sport and focal point excel in something else and how well they can excel in it. So
You think that comes from Palmer being such a moto influenced mountain bike racer?
yeah, which also came from Bo Jackson, which also Michael Jordan tried to emulate. But yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Because Palmer rips on a moto. He's insane.
Yeah, he was factory, man. Palm was factory. So Palm said his best achievement out of everything. Well, he said two different things on two different occasions. One was skier cross gold in X Games, which is pretty incredible because he was 10-time snowboard world champ. And then the other was Supercross main event. But when he told me that he qualified third in a 120 at Hangtown 125 National, I was like, dude, that's not top 20 on the night at a mud race in Supercross. That's third of the baddest dudes.
One of the gnarliest tracks on the circuit.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, that would be probably mine. Like, cause that one, I was like looking at my potential, like, and it's what helps me keep going, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, if you get third in any qualifying event at any 125 race, that shows your potential that you could be winning.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyways, we'll patch Palmer in on one of these calls, but right now we're gonna give Gwin a call and see what he's up to and see what sort of insight we can get into the mind of a World Cup champ coming into the strangest series change and scheduling of all time. I mean, I don't think there's going to be an asterisk next to this, and if there is, it's going to be actually an asterisk that would be more synonymous with greatness. You know,
More commendable. I don't know. I don't think there should be an asterisk at all. It's like
Yeah.
a weird year, wild times. Might as well have a weird year of wild times in racing.
It's almost going to be harder because it's not the normal. You got to come into preparation to race in the fall, back-to-back races, double headers, same track. If some guy whoops your ass at the same race, you got to bring your A game the next. Are they racing the next day?
I mean, like how there's so much like track surveillance they do too with like team members and stuff like that. Like how much line changes there are going to be, all of that kind of stuff.
I think that's probably one of the coolest parts because even back as far as I remember when I was a junior, I would hear about Menard only pulled out this one rock line for the main, and he'd save it. And John Tomac used to do it and like scope a line, and Eric Carter would. They would like scope a line and not practice it because they knew someone was going to be watching, and then just do it in the race. But with a doubleheader, with 2 doubleheaders, everyone's going to be able to see everyone's race line. So there's some cool strategy that's going to happen. And I think it's going to be great to see who, after you go to bed after winning, what happens the next day, or after you go back and regroup after not qualifying, what's going to happen 2 days later.
You more hungry or less hungry from the win. Yeah.
All right, so let's give Gwin a call right now and see let's hear it from the champ himself.
Big dog.
Okay, big dog. We're very pleased to have you on here. We greatly appreciate it. This is our first podcast, but mainly a YouTube video. So it's more like a YouTube show. It's called the SNEWS, SNEWS, and the big topic right now. We got the World Cup schedule just getting announced. What was the initial impression?
I mean, it wasn't a shocker for me. We knew a couple of weeks out before it actually went to the public what roughly the schedule was. We were just hoping that they were going to come through with it, and they did. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, I was anticipating the 1 doubleheader event in Maribor, but not 2 back-to-back, so that was a bit of a bonus. It's a pretty gnarly schedule. I think it's really cool in a lot of ways because it will give people consistent racing to watch, like really consistent for a couple of months. It's going to be kind of gnarly on us riders in some ways, and travel-wise, a lot of people are pretty much just going to have to be in Europe for 2 months straight. I think I'll probably come home in the middle for a week or 2. But I mean, dude, like with the year we've had and how crazy everything is, just to be able to go racing, I think we're all like, we don't really care what the inconvenience is or how gnarly the schedule is. We just want to have a race season for everybody. So it'll be gnarly, but I'm stoked that we're doing it.
Yeah, so apparently what I had pulled up was actually, I think, the original UCI dates. I don't know where the amended one went. But so the final 2 are double headers, right?
Yeah, I think we're doing Maribor and then Portugal back-to-back weekends, I think. Maybe there's a week off, and they're both going to be double headers. So we basically, I think, like qualify Thursday, race Friday, qualify again Saturday, race Sunday. And my understanding is that Red Bull's going to be like a totally separate broadcast live for both events. So it's going to be like, it'll be pretty full on.
Gnarly. So we were just talking about that. Is it the same track? I would assume so if you had only 1 set of practice, right?
Yeah, I don't know 100%, but I would assume so if we're not doing more practice. And, I mean, it takes them quite a bit of planning, like months of planning to find their TV locations or their camera locations. So I'd be surprised. Maybe they'll switch up a section or something, but to do 2 totally different tracks would be pretty gnarly. So I doubt it.
Yeah, that's crazy. We were just talking about how awesome it's going to be to see the difference a day makes and race mentality from one day to the next on the same track. And obviously weather can happen with Europe, but what are your biggest reservations for it, or what are your biggest things that you see that you have an advantage on?
I think generally I'm usually pretty consistent, like pretty fit. I know how to manage a race weekend well, so I think I can be pretty consistent there. I think the things that could be gnarly is if you do have a crash or you have an injury, like anywhere within these 2 months, you're pretty much going to be completely out of the season, because if you miss a couple of weeks, you could miss up to 4 races if you miss the last 2 weeks.
Same with Supercross, man.
Yeah, that was kind of what we were going to lead into as well, is how similar it is to Supercross, and I can't seem to find the actual schedule right now, but where the updated one is, but
racing like 7 times in 3 or 4 weeks or something crazy. They basically race every Saturday and Wednesday for like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think it's 8 events, or is it 7 events? Yeah, so
okay, 2 nights. There we go. So we got Lenzerheide, Val di Sole, Leger, the Czech Republic, Leogang, and then the final 2 doubleheaders in Slovenia and Portugal.
Yeah, I think Czech Republic is an XC only, but yeah, the other ones are there. So I think it's 7.
Okay.
7 total plus World Champs, so only 1 less, I think, than we would have had.
Is World Champs going to get squeezed in between any of those? Oh, it's right there. It's October 7th.
Yep. Yeah, they moved it back. So, yeah, dude, it'll be right in there, mid-season.
I remember they've done that in years past, right? And it's kind of weird seeing a newly crowned world champ in the middle of a World Cup title race. Speaking of which, what's your prime? I agree with you. I think the World Cup is far more important, especially from like a motocross mentality, than the one-day World Championship. But what are your thoughts on the whole? I mean, the allure of the rainbow jersey versus the best of the season and all the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been one more for, I think just coming to motocross, having like your champion is the champion of the season, not kind of a one-day race like a Monster Cup event. I think it's cool, but it's, I think, like the best rider, more proven over a full season on different tracks and conditions and all that kind of stuff. But World Champs is its own beat. Like it's its own thing, because you got to be the best on one specific day. You know, I mean, I haven't been able to do it yet. And, you know, honestly, earlier in my career when I was winning my first few World Cup titles, I didn't really care. Like, World Champs was a bonus race. Like, I definitely put everything into it and wanted to win it, but I was like, you know, I would have been way more bummed to not get the overall title than World Champs. World Champs was kind of a bonus, but now that I haven't won it, dude, I want to win that stupid race.
Dude, everyone thought it was bad for Petey, dude. Everyone thought that Petey had it, and you have far more wins and far.
World Cup title right now. I don't know. It's getting to that point. I'm like, we got to make this happen.
Yeah, and we got Loic that has 4, right?
Yeah, 3 maybe. Yeah, I don't know how many he has.
And then you have 5 World Cup titles. But how many? Do you know how many World Cup titles Petey has?
Good question, dude.
Because I don't think it ain't 5, and
maybe 3.
And that was the big deal. So I think you're even more over 2, but it's crazy to me that it hasn't happened as well.
Yeah, I know. Same. Yep. Well, I'm stoked. It's Leogang. That's like one of my favorite tracks. Last time we had Leogang World Champs, I felt like I think that was 2012, and I felt like I really had a win in me that year, and I had this like freak brake malfunction happen in my race run and went flying off the track.
I remember that. You went straight to that big old barrier.
Dude, that was the scariest thing ever. Like, to just get on the brake and have nothing happen and just almost endo to your death.
That's such a steep chute right there. It's like a 30-foot like little face going into the woods.
I'm glad there was a net there, or I probably would have just kept going until I got to the bottom of the mountain.
See at the bottom of the Alps, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Gwin. It's my name's Trent. I'm with the SNEWS team. Just joined here. Yeah, you're good. I was just wondering what you're doing on this like quarantine. What are you doing? You just riding moto, trying to do some trail bike laps?
The dirt bike track just opened, I think, a week ago, so we're actually going tomorrow.
Nice.
But I've just been training pretty normal. We took a little bit of a chill. Like, I kept training. I just backed the intensity down for a little bit, and we're starting to kind of get a game plan together now to go for the next 3 months again. But, dude, things have been busy, honestly. Like, I've just been working with my sponsors super close, like on a lot of the back end, like business stuff now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting pretty involved with a few of the brands that I ride for, Intense especially, and sort of the business side of things, and kind of whether it's products or marketing stuff or website stuff or whatever. Like, they're kind of bringing me in on some things, so we're just being busy. Like, I'm trying to just rally together with, you know, the people that support me in tough times to just be productive for everybody. So it's been busy. It's kind of chilled out finally the last week or two, but those first like month and a half was like I was working 10-12 hour days every day, emails and phone calls, just trying to like
Yeah, well, you guys are trying to ramp up for the season coming up, and then it gets postponed. So
yeah,
how do you try and contain that, and then when it's game time, bring it?
for
Because
sure.
it's not race time until the fall.
Yeah, and we just try to be productive in other areas. I think it was really tough times for people, and thankfully a lot of people are going to come out of it pretty good, but some people maybe won't in the bike industry. So we were it wasn't time to like sit on your hands and be like, cool, we've got some time off here. It was like, dude, we kind of got to fight to like keep things rolling here in a few ways. So yeah, I was just really busy there for about a month and a half. And now it's kind of chilling out a little bit. There's like light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people. And it's actually been good, man. I think sometimes when you're met with, you know, adversity like this, and you have to like, you know, some of the things maybe you were procrastinating on that you needed to get done, and you were just kind of rolling by because it was like good enough. I think a lot of us are sort of like, you know, like it exposes your weaknesses, maybe as a brand or as a rider or whatever. And like, where you're like, dude, we can't afford to be lazy in these areas. Like, we got to get stuff together and really make the most of it. So I think coming out of this, we're all going to be a little bit better. We just kind of had to like weather the storm.
Yeah. I think everyone will be a lot more appreciative of the season and just the whole industry as a whole.
Yeah, for
Appreciating
sure. It's
everything
cool.
we've
And I
got
think,
going for ourselves.
I think for bike riding in the next year or two, I think it's great. I mean, from everybody I've talked to and brands I work with, there's a certain demographic that's getting into bike riding right now that's like crazy, like a huge influx of new riders and stuff. So I think that's cool, and that will be, you know, good over the next couple of years. There's a lot of people that aren't working and that are just wanting to go outside and ride bikes, so they're getting into bikes or mountain bikes for the first time, and that's, I think, really cool. So yeah, there's good stuff coming out of it for sure.
Yeah, we've been touching on that here as well about bike sales being up, and even the New York Times just put up an article on how bike shop sales are up 2 to 3 times in certain areas, but then meanwhile, I'm sure you've heard it from some sponsors that they're cutting back and they're trying to furlough, and a couple sponsors are trying to push back payment, but bike sales seem to be up, right? Especially for direct-to-consumer companies. I was just curious. You obviously can't get too much information on Intense, but with you being the team manager, I would imagine you have a good insight on how the brand is performing. And just curious on Intense sales and how they're doing.
For sure, they're doing pretty good. I mean, they definitely took a bit of a hit, but there has been, like at their online sales, I think they've had, the last month was their best month ever online.
Just you.
Yeah, that was sick. But then at the same time, you know, a lot of the bike shops themselves, some of them are kind of struggling. You know, and I think cash flow is tough for some people right now because there's a lot of payments that are owed, and if those payments aren't coming through, you can't order more product. And so there's a lot of things behind the scenes that kind of can make it tricky. Definitely we're seeing that the better price point bikes are selling really good right now. Like the higher value bikes, you know, I don't want to like use the word cheaper, but you know, those bikes around your $3,000 price point ish or whatever, like, you know, that kind of stuff's kind of flying off the shelves, whereas your super high-end elite bike is not selling so well right now.
Well, for a man and a wife and 2 kids, then your stimulus check would cover one of those lower end bikes, but not the big.
It's crazy that a budget bike nowadays is still $3,000 too.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
A lot of bikes for $3,000, but it's still a lot of money. So yeah, I think those and e-bikes have been doing really well. I mean, we have a pretty awesome e-bike. That thing's super fun, but we've been doing really well on those too. So yeah, there's some good stuff happening for sure. It's just everybody's in a bit of a different place right now. So some people are really struggling, and other people are having the best months ever. And so it's a little different.
Yeah, I think that in times like these, there's always opportunities, and it's harder. Anyone that can stay positive, there's as much of a downside there's equal as many of an opportunity for upside. But especially for the racing, I mean, I know that you follow Supercross and Motocross, but like the schedule being so much closer now and tighter together, and especially with the double headers. It's gonna be pretty cool to see kind of a prelude to that in Salt Lake with the motocross, and see how people perform in the same ones, or just more back to back. But at the same time, this schedule more emulates a traditional Supercross schedule than it normally would, with being a 2-month gap here or there. And it's you said that you're usually good. That's why you are who you are. You're usually really good at on the race day and being prepared. But any chinks in the armor right now, or anything that's bothering you, anything you're trying to get done before you get there, or is there a cutoff for when business goes away and then you can focus just 100% on riding?
Yeah, I mean, with me running a team, and I really love working with the brands that I do, we're always doing something, and I like it that way. Like, I like being busy with those guys. I don't feel like it takes away from my training. I think for me, honestly, like, we were ready to rip a few months ago. Like, we really hustled hard. At the end of last season and the beginning of this year on that new bike that I've been riding, that prototype. We did a lot of testing, so that thing is pretty much just like sitting there ready to go. We don't really have much else that I want to tackle on it right now.
It's a 29.7, right?
Yep. And
awesome.
Training kind of the same way. Like, I had a really good build, so I've kind of got a good base on me right now that I'm just trying to kind of maintain, and then we'll start ramping it up again here in the next few months. But I feel pretty ready to go. So we're not really scrambling on anything. We're good. So we're just gonna keep building on what we got, and try to make some gains in some other areas. Maybe do some cool events this summer. It's a cool opportunity to be more involved with the sponsors and kind of work on some projects and kind of enjoy a summer too, and not have to be gone so much. And I think it's cool, like, for the fans too, because our season is spread out so far. It's sort of hard to follow. I think sometimes you get all hyped for a couple of races, and then you're like, oh, 2.5 month break. Like, okay, so you got to like turn your attention elsewhere. So I think it's kind of cool that we'll, be pretty exciting to mix it up this year and do something a little bit different.
I think it could be something that they take note for the future. I remember the first year that they moved Rampage up a day and ran it on Friday because it looked like weather was coming in for Saturday and Sunday. Now they run it on Friday, and it's because they found that the views were better when people are at work and they're logging in on their work computer to watch it. So you never know. This could be them taking note for the future, and then maybe they'll cram it more, and maybe they'll add more races. I mean, it's hard on you guys, but I'd like to see 10 World Cup rounds in a year.
Yeah, it would be cool. I'd definitely be a bigger fan of that if they had some more in the U.S. and you'd have to go to walk back and forth so much. But more races would be great for the sport, I think, obviously. So we'll see. It's definitely a unique opportunity. They're going to be able to get some stats and some things that they would have never gotten otherwise. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of the backside.
Yeah. If you could race more in the U.S., where would you race?
Dude, you name it. I don't care.
It's going to be home.
No, I would be psyched to race like Mammoth. Mm-hmm. I think Mammoth would be epic. Just being able to race in California, like Big Bear, if they built, they got a pretty good track now, but it would be a pretty cool experience. Just racing on the East Coast, like New York or West Virginia last year, is definitely special with the home crowd and all that stuff. But if we actually raced out here on the West Coast, that would be pretty crazy. But dude, there's so many good spots. Colorado, like I said, you name it, I'll be there and I'll be stoked.
Dude, Big Bear, like 99. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, thank you for your time. This has been probably the coolest guest we could have had on our first episode. So thanks for the insight and taking the time, bud.
guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, man. Have a good night.
Later, dog.
Later.
Dude, he's sick. He wakes up every morning and he pisses excellence.
Dude.
Dialed. He's a dialed dude. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like anything rattles him very much, and this amendments to the schedule don't seem to bother him. But you never know. Maybe everyone's like that. Maybe all the top dudes are like that, and they've just been so eager to go racing, and they were prepared for the first round in March, and now it's pushed back a few months. Maybe they're chomping at the bit even more. Maybe everyone's more hungry.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be more healthy. So this, dude, I'm thoroughly looking forward to a new World Cup season.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cooper Webb made a good post about like doing Supercross stuff, saying he's like, our job is just to be trained and ready and doing all this stuff. You know, he's like, I don't know why other racers are out here complaining about doing this. He's like, I don't know what you've been doing your time off. I've been staying as ready as I always been. Like, they want us to race tomorrow, I'll race tomorrow. Like, it's my job. It's what I want to do. So it's kind of, I mean, I haven't heard any downhill racers complain about it or any other mountain bike racers complain about it, but I feel like everyone should be excited to do their job, or, you know, because that's such a cool job, such a cool thing to be able to do, you know, like to get to go race and do all this stuff. Like, if you get the chance to do 7 races in 5 days, whatever, do that, because that's cool. I don't know. I think it'll be rad.
Yeah,
like I said earlier.
Yeah, it's the same race for everyone as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that Gwin is the best at as well. The race day mindset on the day of, you know, this is where we are, you know, so what, now what? We're here. Let's go racing. Same for everyone. No excuses. Play like a champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing how well Loic does at all the world champs stuff, the one-off, the super intense races, it's going to be interesting to see how well he does at this stuff. You know, it seems like pressure's not as big for him.
Well, what he was saying is like in a normal season, they take 2 months, right, between each race, roughly. With this, they're only going to have a couple weeks, days. It's going to be interesting to see who's got the mental game. Bring it every single week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much it affects them, because, I mean, most sports, they have just big recovery periods, and they have their program, they have their regiment because they race week in, week out. But with World Cup, it's always a little bit arbitrary for the scheduling, you know? So it's going to be interesting to see if there are any side effects from racing 2 races in a weekend, you know, 2 qualifyings and 2 races in 4 days. It's going to be interesting to see, but I personally think that this might be the future. You know, it might go off so well with it being tighter and keeping everyone entertained and not such big gaps, and hopefully they'll add more races. I'm a firm believer that the closest sport to compare it to is motocross, and you got 17 supercross races and then 12 outdoors, you know, and mountain biking there's seven downhill races, like, and everyone wants to get paid more, but I think that a 10 race World Cup series would be the future. So hopefully this pushes in that direction.
I mean, like, everyone who switches to EWS says they're stoked because there's just more ride time. You know, as far as riders are concerned, I don't think any rider would be bummed with more events. You know, more ride time. That's awesome.
I'd like to see more crammed together because, I mean, Gwin was right. It is hard to follow the series.
Yeah, exactly.
I lose interest. I don't like watching these races weeks apart. Like, it's not fun. Supercross holds your interest because it's every week basis.
Yeah.
Next weekend, every Saturday, you can count on watching these dudes go to battle.
And every first round World Cup, there's watch parties, and everyone's like, come over to my house, we'll watch it. And then round 2, a few less.
3 weeks to the next round, you're like, okay, go.
Yeah,
like, do I throw the same party every month?
Yeah.
And then by the end, you're like, I mean, halfway through the season, I'm up at 5 a.m. watching it on my phone, you know, rather than with someone else. So
Yeah.
hopefully this keeps everyone entertained, and, you know, maybe it's an opportunity in disguise.
Even if it was 7 races, but it was only in 2 months, you know, that'd be way more entertaining, and
I totally agree.
I'd watch it way more. I ride a mountain bike 1,000 times more than I ride a dirt bike, but I care about Supercross more than I care about downhill or enduro or any of that stuff, just because it's way more entertaining to watch, and there's a lot more going on. I don't know, more content, more cool stuff, battles, and
the consistency for sure.
Yeah.
Bring back 4-cross.
Or do slalom.
Slalom, dude.
Slalom or 4-cross. Who doesn't like any of that? Stop building $1 million 4-cross tracks and go put some stakes in the hill and have every rider come out and do it on their trail bike, and you'd have the best viewing, the best riding, be epic.
You know what it was, dude? The first, I think this was before your time, but the first 4-cross race ever, like legitimate one, was actually Sea Otter. And they had a 60-foot jump. And then I think the following year they had like waist high stadium whoops. Like, and Lopes is on a hardtail in clips, slamming them and waxed everyone. First year he waxed everyone by like 30 seconds. Next year he same thing.
That guy's a competitor.
And it was dude, one of them, or actually sorry, the first ever was like Glen Helen. They had it at the halftime show between motos, and everyone was on downhill bikes, and it was big jumps, and like, okay, and then I think that's what took Sea Otter to take the initiative and start doing it. And then after that, the World Cups tried to adopt it, and sooner or later, 2 years in, it was a BMX track on flat ground because they didn't want to spend the money building a bitchin' track, you know.
But they ended up spending more money on building those big tracks, you know.
Yeah, they were like, this is the new cool sport, this is it. And then all of a sudden it just started suffering because they tried to cut costs on the courses. But for the first couple of years, 4-cross was actually awesome, but it also killed slalom the dual World Cup format. Slalom tracks are way easier to build, way cheaper to build. I think it's actually better racing. It's not because we don't have, like, if you T-bone someone in the first corner, there isn't another 20 minutes to get them back.
Yeah.
You know, you have like
that's your night,
maybe 2 passing opportunities, and that's it. But slalom, head-to-head the whole way down, go back up and do it again.
It's such good racing. I got into racing downhill because of dual slalom. We raced slalom first, and Eastern States Cup, I think it was, on the East Coast every weekend. Dual slalom race on Saturday, downhill race on Sunday. And we would race slalom on Saturday on our little hardtail bikes because we didn't have nice mountain bikes. And then we'd watch downhill and be like, dude, that's so sick. And then when we have bikes to do both, we could finally race both. And it was so fun because everyone we raced downhill will come out on Saturday and just have a blast racing slalom. And like, that was the fun event. And then downhill was like kind of serious the next day, but it was so cool seeing all the dudes out there on their hardtails or their trail bikes or whatever it was, just getting down and like having a few beers and blowing off steam after practice of like a gnarly track or whatever it was. And then you're just having fun racing slalom, and the next day you like get to get ride. I think it's great for all the sports. Wow.
Yeah, and it brings just more racing. Like, there's more going on rather than a whole weekend devoted to one race. And 4 minutes where every 100th matters, and you come out of the gate and you slip a pedal or break a chain or something happens, and your whole travel prep, practice, qualifying, everything's gone. But I think that slalom being mixed in is incredible as well. It's always one of my favorites, and it's also cool that there was people like Cedric who was so beloved by the people, and he got. I remember one year, he was never a World Cup champ, but he got second in slalom or dual, World Cup dual and downhill in the same year, and that was like, this is the guy.
See, that's
because people specialized in one or the other,
Yeah.
And he was one of the rare few that did both, So that's I think that's the coolest part. You can pick and choose. You don't have to do both. You can, and then everyone's going to love you for it, but
that's
you also
like
just get more racing.
Events like TDS thrive because you got slalom
That's
as your
future.
qualifier. So you got to have all the bike skills. You got to be able to pump. You got to be able to corner. You got to be able to send some gnarly rock gardens.
That's what you took the words out of my mouth. I was just thinking, I'm like, how cool would it be if EWS had the TDS style qualifier, where it's like every round your qualifier, your seed list, whatever it was a dual slalom. Like,
doesn't even have to be every race on the calendar. It could be like Supercross with their triple crowns.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this weekend you got to cook some tits in the slalom course because that's how you qualify for this race.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
I think it's great. Any word on the TDS? Do you know? Have you heard about it?
I think it's in October.
Okay.
I think that's one of the sickest events of the year. Those guys kill it. That probably is so cool.
This last year, when we went there, Mikey Hatter had to go sneak off to a wedding. So I put on his helmet, put on his jersey, and did 2 of the stages for him. Nobody knew. Probably his 2 fastest times of the weekend, but let's go.
Yeah, a little lubricated. The first stage was like not too bad. It was kind of a rocky one. We get to the bottom, we start pedaling up, and he's like, "Wait, we have to pedal to the top?" I'm like, yeah, this is an enduro, bro.
I was very lubricated.
And Mikey has he has the zero. It's like the gearbox bike, and Trent couldn't figure out how to get it into the lowest gear.
Oh my god, he's got the throttle
grip
twist.
shifts on it.
Yeah.
So he was like halfway through the gear, and he's just bitching about the bike.
I think I climbed that hill in fourth gear the whole way.
Yeah. It was great.
I was dying.
And then the last stage was the rockiest, gnarliest stage, and Trent just sent it
completely blind. Didn't know there was a live waterfall where there's running water. People are slapping you on the ass, and they're like, "Go, Mikey, go!" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually Trent."
Oh, it's so good. Events need to be more like that.
That's a loose one.
The Dirty Sanchez Enduro and Trail Party events need to be more like that.
They put on a good fucking show.
So good.
And there's so many fast dudes that go to those too.
Yeah.
It's not just some.
Yeah, and those dudes, time in and time again, are just like, no, best event. This is so much fun. This is so much better than all the other stuff. Like,
maybe TWS will be the nationals for the EWS.
I'll be there. That'll be my
That's the future.
start of my racing career.
yeah.
All right. Speaking of other amazing events, I think we'll patch in Darren Kinnard right now. With Darren Kinnard is the GM of Crankworx. He's essentially the guy that runs the show. He is also the main proponent in our Sensus party, which is we're extremely thankful for.
One of
every
the
year.
best times.
Yeah.
I think it's
Voted number one party of the year by Vogue New York every year. It's crazy.
7 years in a row, or
Yeah.
seven?
Yep.
It's been always my favorite piece of going to Whistler since getting out of slopestyle. And we'll patch him in right now, and we'll see what these giant question marks all around Crankworx, because they're keeping their cards close to their chest. And we had a really good Rotorua. Rotorua went off great, and then kind of radio silence. So word is Innsbruck is either canceled or pushed back, and then we have no information on Crankworx Whistler. So we'll try to pry and prod. I'm sure that we will not be the press release for this, but we'll try to see what information we can get. But
SNEWS press release.
let's patch in.
Live.
Let's patch in Darren Kinnard. Howdy.
Yo.
You're live and direct on the first episode of the SNEWS.
I'm getting in trouble here.
How's Hudson doing?
He's doing well, thanks.
Awesome.
We built some new jumps, and so he's been hitting those in the yard.
He's getting a lot better, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You can see that the desire is there. Oh, man, it's still bright up there. Up in the Great White North.
Oh, you got sun up there, eh?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Crankworx does you well, huh? Look at those bay windows.
You've met Ray, right? You've met Ray from the Sensus parties?
Yeah. Came out as well.
How's it?
And then we have Trent, our third compadre, the three
How's it
amigos
going?
on here. So, first of all, for the correlation, like to also say thanks, because this is obviously a Sensus production, but thanks for being the main.
The guinea pig?
Test it.
No, as far as the most proactive source for the Sensus party. Every year, like you were
Oh, God.
it was the idea. It was your idea, and it's my favorite things about Crankworx. So I want to come back and throw a party. Are we? So obviously, nothing publicly has been announced, but we're trying to pry as much as we can, I guess. But will we get to throw a Sensus party in Whistler this year? Will we get to race? Will we get to?
Still to be determined.
Okay.
The whole border's got to open this year.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about the border yet.
Yeah.
Because it was
Extended it today another 30 days, so.
okay.
That's going to be a big problem, I think, for a lot of the world, is the border.
Yeah. So Innsbruck's fully canceled, correct?
No, I moved to October.
Okay. All right.
First weekend in October.
Okay, so we have that overlapping with Sea Otter then, correct?
That weekend has Sea Otter, Crankworx Sea Innsbruck World Cup somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the same as World Cup.
And an outdoor national or two. And
So it's going to be a ridiculous weekend.
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Are they? Yeah, go ahead.
why do big events always seem to line up on the same weekend like this, especially for like rescheduling? Is it just because that's the soonest available date, or how does it always line up? Because it feels like all these big events, no matter what sport they are, always seem to line up.
Well, I think the World Cup scheduled like 6 races in 7 weekends or something like that.
Yep.
And Innsbruck chose that weekend because there was a bunch of other festivals or sporting events they were having in Innsbruck. So that was the only weekend that made sense. And then after that, it starts to get too cold and the weather goes to crap. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Are there any changes to the event structure? Is it still like? Well, I think Innsbruck last year was 5 days long or something. Is it or no? Is it
Still planned to be 5 days. Yeah.
okay? And similar courses as last year, trying to cut costs on anything, or just try to go make it as big and bad as it can be.
No, make it as big as bad as it can be. Yeah, I think they might have to move the whip jumps this year, only because it's gonna be dark.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool. I think it's always cooler when it's down the hill anyway. Like the
Yeah, it's gonna be dark and it's gonna be a heck of a lot cooler. So being outdoor.
yeah. So I remember sitting there at the first Rotorua whip off with you and just seeing you light up, like no pun intended, but just it being under the lights and how incredible it was, and the motivation was there to try to replicate that elsewhere. Is there? I mean, obviously the geography of Whistler is a little bit different and difficult, but is that a possibility in the future, or is there any way to? I mean, that just came to mind because of Innsbruck. Yeah, for the whip off, because like it came to mind for Innsbruck. If you brought it down by the other courses and put it under the lights, it would be a spectacle.
Yeah. No, we've kicked around the idea of moving it to like even to base 2 with all the other stuff that's up there, but there's so many people that just, not because the jumps are the best, but because of where it is. The crabapple hits the soul
Yeah.
of that event, I've been told, and so it just seems to always gravitate back there. And then every time you go there, there's like 7,000 people on the hillside just watching the people throw whips. It's kind of hard to. It's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type.
Yeah, until it becomes a bunch of unruly fans like Heckler's Rock, and then you got to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it never comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone seems to be a little bit more respectful, and as loose as they get, it never seems to get out of line. But Heckler's Rock was pretty clever though. There were some people that like should probably be comedians up on that rock every year leading chants, and it's pretty incredible. I remember one year I had crashed both runs in slope, and I was super bummed out the next day, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go ride by myself, and then I hear the chants coming from the rock, and I was like, I'm gonna go hang out with those people.
I was actually on the trail with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole day on the rock and met a bunch of new friends, and like just yelling chants together. It was an awesome time. But so I'm bummed to see it go. But from an event standpoint, I understand there's certain
like a party to bring the people together.
Yeah, there were some unruly things that took place up there.
Absolutely.
What was the worst thing that happened on the rock?
Oh, I don't know that that's safer.
We can bleep you out.
Yeah, no Plan B pills were
Yeah.
eaten in the making of this.
There's some bad things that happened up there. Yeah.
I remember beers getting thrown at the lift, most likely riders too. There's some bad seeds, that's for sure, and they have to ruin it for everyone.
It started as a really good event. Some local guys started it. It was probably like a decade ago, and it just sort of was like gasoline on a fire. It just kind of started roaring and raging. And we didn't do it any favors because we sort of promoted it like, hey, this is really cool, this is unique, and so we kind of helped the story grow, and then one day we're like, yeah, this isn't.
If we could get as many people that stand on Heckler's Rock to come watch a downhill event in this country, it would be pumped.
Really have something.
Downhill racing is suffering here, and we have some of the best racers in the world now. I think there's 4 or 5 dudes that could be in the top 10 any weekend, and it's unfortunate that we don't have a legitimate race series. So the next topic, I guess, would be the future of Crankworx for the U.S., and adding a stop. This is obviously going to put a damper on those things, but what's the likelihood? And I know Squaw Valley or North Star or any.
Yeah, no, we've looked at a few different spots and had a few conversations over the last, probably 6 years with the different places in California. We've had conversations with California, Arkansas,
Bentonville, huh?
Yeah, there was someone that reached out there a few years ago. We haven't spoken to anyone in a few years.
What about Nevada?
Yeah.
No, and I think the future is just getting more, more and more kids wanting to be involved in it, and more youth getting involved in it, and sort of bringing in the next, just more and more kids into the pipeline of doing things that are, fun. And we were on a call the other day, and it's like Crankworx is, it's serious racing, it's serious contest, but it tends to be a lot more fun, even in everything we do, with even from broadcast or whatever. There just seems to be more loose fun around it than other mountain biking things. And
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you guys do well, and that's why I just want to see more of it, and more in the USA. I mean, that would be ideal.
We're definitely trying, and you're right. This whole pandemic thing puts a bit of a damper on everything, but hopefully it gets figured out.
Yeah, so I guess if you can't allude to too much about Whistler, but is there anything that you can let the fans know?
Just that we're working on stuff. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to hear that.
I think we hear bits and pieces, and we're not going to expel any rumors, but I think it's a perfect time for it if I have heard it correctly, and I think it's been a long time coming, so hopefully. People are like, what in the world?
I was going to say, what are you talking about, Zeke?
we can bleep this out, but a video contest, like a real bike, real MTB video contest or something instead of an actual live event.
Oh. No, that one hasn't come up yet.
All right, well, we'll bleep out what I said, and then you'll just go, no.
Crankworx Whistler?
No. There was talk the other day of trying to figure out how to do Deep Summer or Dirt Diaries virtually, but we haven't we've been working on something else at the moment, and then that was sort of like, okay, once we get that figured out, then maybe we can start to bring in elements of Dirt Diaries Deep Summer virtually, but yeah.
All right, so let's say the border opens up and travel is like best case scenario or best case Ontario. We have full open borders, everyone's able to fly in. Would it be a non-spectator event? What's the protocol?
I think we're like in BC here, they're saying no event larger than 50 people.
Sensus can't even throw our party.
Yeah. Not sure how the Longhorn is going to pull this off. It's BC's there's no more than 50 people gatherings till the end of August. So it's definitely making what we do very challenging. I'll say that.
Are you guys able to go out to eat up there yet?
Today, actually, things just started to reopen.
Awesome. I was just curious how far you guys are more synonymous with California than us, but we got to go to sushi the other day. Made my day. First time and going out to eat in a couple months. So
takeout places were open here, and a few sort of like the strange thing about here is a lot of restaurants or a lot of places period weren't told they had to close, but they were highly recommended that they close.
okay.
So there was a lot of hairdressers, physiotherapists, that sort of stuff that had to close, but they're allowed to reopen today. So a lot of restaurants are reopening today, all with strange new measures. And what I'm hoping is that the restaurants are allowed to pour onto the streets, and so we can just bike down to downtown Squamish and downtown Whistler.
I think people are over it, and it seems like the heat kills it. So, yeah, hopefully we get back to normal pretty soon, and everyone doesn't go insane before all that happens.
Absolutely.
All right, Darren, thank you for your time.
You are most welcome, and good luck with the show there, gentlemen.
Thanks for hopping on this.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks for this maiden voyage wasn't certain to not be a sinking ship, so thanks for taking your time.
Yeah, good luck. All right,
cheers, bud.
Cheers, bye.
Wow, guys, that was crazy, man.
Whoa, crazy call. Insane insight. I'm glad he really spilled the beans for us there. He was really loose with the lips, as they say.
Whistler
Crazy.
canceled. No.
Yeah, man, I knew we weren't going to get the full story, but I hope we got a little bits and pieces and the other information that we did hear about the potential video contest, something like the X Games Real MTB or something.
MTB.
Did we get information on that?
MTB Real Downhill? Instead of Real Moto?
A real MTB video series would be incredible.
It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool.
You were a part of X Games when slopestyle came in.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't stick.
Yeah, that was, man, weird time.
Real
Weird
free
time.
ride could be so cool,
I think it'd be far better than
it
others.
wouldn't be a thing.
I've heard the last 3 years, it's happening this year, and then the next year, it's happening. No, it's happening this year, and then same so. Hopefully it happens one day, but who knows? Maybe Crankworx. Maybe he's has a really good poker face, and he was lying to us. Maybe they are doing something like that, because I heard rumors. But
Those Canadians.
They do like Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Poker face, dude. Come on.
How do you wake her up? You got a poker face.
You guys are such Gaga aficionados.
That was an old Spomer joke I remember he started something with. Yeah, man, it's weird. I don't do that many events anyway, so it's not like my year is just a disarray because Crankworx is uncertain, but it'd be nice to know. Love Whistler, one of the best times of the year every year, and we have our annual Retallic trip after it every year. And then, yeah, it's a shame. So hopefully it doesn't get crammed to October like everything else. Like he said, Innsbruck's going to be in October, and then Sea Otter and World Cup, and then obviously we have to go out to the desert a fair bit ahead of time.
So say they postpone Whistler. Does that fall September, October?
So he said that the travel ban is now until the end of August, so it would have to be September, hopefully, right?
Yeah. Are they going to throw Whistler? And that's normally the finale. Are they going to do that before Innsbruck?
Yeah, and who knows if they would even want to tarnish Whistler being the finale and then have a champion crowned in Innsbruck. Who knows? Interesting. But we'll just keep guessing, just like you guys out there. And but for now, we're gonna close this out with our favorite new videos of the last couple weeks. We have our top pick for the sickest new edits, which I think is the future of what every mountain bike edit should be, is the In the Hills gang. one of
Oak
the
dogs.
Asa, one of the kids that's in charge in the hills, used to be our shop grom, and he was packing up grips right where we're sitting. Huge fan of him, so we're a little biased on it, but at the same time, dude, this is what mountain biking should be.
It's the exact video you watch and you're like, gets you stoked on riding. They're not shooting with 12K cameras and all this crazy stuff, and they're literally just having fun with their buddies, out shooting, building cool stuff, riding with cool riders. They met up with DJ this time and rode with him. Just like, they're just having good times. Like, I watched that video and I was stoked to ride way more than any slow-mo, intense action or shitty slap rock.
Well, it's got personality, and the coolest part is among that personality and unpolished, just off the cuff, kind of dad cam footage. It's legit. Like, they're sending it.
These kids are hungry. Like, they want to prove that they're not the only ones thrown down like this.
Yeah, there's
like,
a kid trying to double backflips on a 5-year-old bike. That's sick. That's so sick.
And at the same time, that 5-year-old bike's better than what people used to do double flips on. So it's all perspective, I guess. But
yeah, or like their homies pinning open face lines on a hardtail in an open face helmet.
It's
so cool.
It's
awesome.
like full free ride, man. Free ride is back, and free ride in the first come around was like, I don't know. I was more of a racer, so I was a little bit. My vision toward it was a little tainted because I was like, I'm a racer. The free riders aren't as good at riders as racers, But nowadays, dude, I think free riding's the sickest. It's like, especially with this kind of stuff coming out and the media outlets, and for it to get seen by everyone. Before, you were only free rider if you were one of the few chosen ones that were filmed by the 1 or 2 video companies each year, and then you had your sponsors and you needed a budget to go out. Now everyone can film a clip on their iPhone. They can just go out, hike up a hill and ride down it, build a jump. And I think this is the future of the sport. In fact, I love these kids.
Agreed.
Dad cams taking it to the next level.
Dad cams, yeah, the best thing. I have so many kids email Sensus every day, and all of them are saying, "How can I get sponsored? What can I do? These are the races I'm doing. This is what I'm doing." I'm like,
buy a dad cam.
Go buy a dad cam. Go build some shitty trails with your friends and go have fun and film the whole thing and show the world how much fun you're having. And so many more people will want to support you doing that than you showing up to some weekend, getting some number on some trail and saying, "Oh, well, I got 4th for doing this time on this trail." Like, I don't know. I'd much rather support a group of people having fun and doing stuff than something so specific.
Totally agree.
It's so much easier to do in your backyard. Enduro blew up because
Well,
you can do it on any bike, but it's like free ride, you can do it on anything.
It brings more people in the sport too. It makes it more accessible. The biggest hurdle is you got to be fairly well off to afford a mountain bike that can do anything. But nowadays they're getting cheaper and it's more accessible. It's never going to be as cheap as a skateboard, but it's getting more accessible, and I'm super pumped about that.
Yeah, today we were searching for a bike for Trent's girlfriend, and within an hour, I was thrilled to find a good bike for $1,500. And we were like, "Dude, this thing's sick. This is dope. We'll get her set up. This is everything she needs." And then I was thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, $1,500 for like anything else is still so expensive. Like,
that's the most expensive set of skis you could ever buy, or you could buy.
I want to get into skateboarding. You're like, "Oh, $1,500 for." You're like, "What the fuck?" Like, it's such a cool sport, but it's
But I mean, you look at a mountain bike and you look what goes into it. There's way more than goes into a set of skis or a skateboard.
And I think one of the biggest things is you're not out $1,500. That does have resale value. So as long as it holds a reasonable amount of its value, then you're not out that much, and you put it toward another bike. But yeah, they are expensive. That's just the nature of the sport. But at the same time, you don't have to pay for lift tickets. You don't have to wait for snow. You don't have. You can ride a skate park, downhill, hike up a random hill. You can ride a trail. So I think people are figuring out what we've liked about mountain biking, or the masses are.
Free ride. It's the future.
It's not all about racing.
It's the future. Yeah. Not all about going fast. Getting sideways is pretty liberating too.
Yeah. It's not about going fast. It's about looking fast.
No, dude. It's about having fun.
Have you seen Axel Hodges, bro? He's more famous than any racer.
I don't know. That cheetah print looks pretty fast.
He quit racing, and he's more famous than most of the racers.
Yeah. He's got a hotter chick than
If you're
most
talking
of them.
about quitting racing and being famous, I'd pick Tyler Bierman hands down every time.
Oh, 100%.
Sickest-
I was just
sickest
speaking.
dude.
Bierman's the sickest.
Bierman's my vote for best moto freerider, but
Yeah.
he's
Not just because he hangs out with the mountain bike guys,
No,
but
not just because he likes us.
he throws
also
down the
because
hardest for
he's-
sure.
Axel's just got that following, is what I'm trying.
Yeah, yeah, and that does enable some really cool projects and things from there, you know.
Yeah, just
But as far as the core of the sport, I think. I mean, Colby Raleigh does some gnarly lines. Or what are the no-namers? Vinny Carbone, right?
Yeah.
Those guys do some sick stuff.
there's some new kids coming up
Yeah,
too.
I like how hard those dudes are too. It's kind of like surfing maps.
But that's what these in the hills kids are doing for the mountain bike scene.
Yeah.
Bringing up that same vibe.
It's cool.
Speaking of new kids, this Harry Schofield edit, 10-year-old,
Dude, the kid's sick.
definitely check that one out.
We're at the follow on Instagram for sure. He shreds on like motos, BMX, mountain bikes, everything. I don't know. It's pretty rad.
And then there's been a couple little teasers dropping out, mainly on social media for each rider involved in the film, but the accomplished film. TGR is finally producing their own mountain bike film, not in partnership with Anthill or anyone else. It's a full TGR film. It was a pleasure filming with them. They super professional, know how to do it, great crew, super dialed, and they took the best director of any mountain bike film ever, Jeremy Grant. And so be on the
Grath is directing it. So sick.
so be on the lookout for the Accomplished Films teasers. There should be one for each rider coming out in the coming weeks, and then the launch. It was actually supposed to get premiered in Bend a few days ago, but now it's going to get pushed back till sometime in June, so I'll have a little more time to polish it up because this film was made in a very short time. But it has Kurt Sorge, Jackson Riddle, Hannah Berryman, Andreo, Ethan Nell, Tom Van Steenberg, and myself, and then a very surprise closing segment that I was fortunate to be a part of as well. So they're keeping that one a secret, but it'll probably bring a tear to your eye and make you want to go out and ride your bike at the same time. Then we have a Brooke Macdonald recovery story. Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't even know if we can even start that. It's so sick. Cheers to Brooke. And
Cheers to you, Brooke.
recovery. So sick, man. And
This is, this
such a good dude. Like one of the sickest dudes on the scene. One of the nicest dudes out. Just rides so hard. Just loves every second of it. So to see him bouncing back, like the video he posted this week, he's like scrubbing jumps and getting all sideways. Like so sick.
Yeah,
So
he's
sick.
dude. He. It always happens to the nicest people. Like the good die young, and then the people that get in a fortunate situation like this are always the nicest people, and it's unfortunate. But he is truly one of the baddest dudes, the nicest dudes you'll ever meet in your life. So, Brooke, really, really pumped to see how far you've come, and I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind now that you'll make a full recovery. But you're putting all the people that had their hesitations to rest for sure.
Yeah, and motivating so many people. Like anyone who's in that situation or will in the future. Like
Yeah.
you get so hyped by the things you do and the things you're currently doing. So
Definitely puts it in perspective. Like, not even
Yeah.
being in that situation makes riding your bike that much
Yeah.
more appreciative.
yeah, absolutely. And hanging out with Paul too. Paul's riding e-motorcycles now and sending jumps, and Paul's styling out in all those tables. Dude, it's so sick. It's really rad to be riding with the homies. You know, after crazy stuff happens, it's really cool that we should again. Pretty rad.
Yeah, then we got the Sam Hill edit, and it's
Dude, he's sick. Sam, his riding is awesome. Just textbook Sam. Just 0 effort, 100% speed.
Sam's the original, the G. Sam's our Bubba Stewart. He's our
I think that's really though.
he's
We
the
just got to spray paint in black.
he's the you get in trouble for that. Blackface would
called
get
harassment.
Blackface would get you banned from mountain biking forever. So, but the Sam Hill edit definitely got to pick apart. That's not raw because there's no slow and raw video. There's no slow mo and raw videos. But Sam didn't create the slow mo, and he rode like a boss. And it's always a treat to watch him just ride his bike. So
Just don't put raw on a video if there's like Hollywood bird noises the whole time. and like 65 slow-mo. Like his first slow-mo where he destroys the berm, you're like, oh, that's sick. And then there's like 6 more where he's just like hitting jumps or riding along. And you're like, did they pay you for a 2.5-minute video and you only had 2 minutes of content? Like, put more ads and keep the riding good and make it a raw. Or just, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, again, nothing against Sam because he didn't edit it, but
Yeah. And
Just
I'm
a
sure the
savage.
slow-mo's great. But I bet they don't ride mountain bikes.
Yeah.
or create. I guess it's whoever created the title and the thumbnail. Raw.
Yeah.
It's trending right now. Sam killed it, but don't call it raw.
His handguards are sick.
Those are raw.
And then if you guys haven't seen the Antoine Bizet video,
It's awesome. It's so good. It's so good.
Quarantine is hitting people a little different.
I'll leave it at that. Love Bizet, dude. You're a maniac. One of the nicest dudes I've ever met. But
So
man,
sick.
that new video is something else. You guys have to check it out.
It's awesome. It's like an early 2000 freeride edit and the Borat intro combined. It's so good. He's like throwing the most insane tricks and sending like super cool stuff, and then his singing is so awesome. It's so bizarre.
We gotta
It's great.
leave
It's
some
so
mystery for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have Alex Volokov, Sensus rider as well, and dude rips. Yeah.
Dude, his lines at Retallic, I can't remember the name of the video. I'm sure we'll be able to link it, but his lines at Retallic last year, seeing him in person were so gnarly. Like no runouts, just crazy stuff. So that kid rips. I don't know. Meeting him at Rampage and digging with him and hanging out with him, he's just super down to earth. So seeing him get like a nice solid contract and be with Storch and some other homies, it's good to see.
Yeah. Rocky Mountain seems like they're doing good things. So
As it gets. It's awesome.
then we have that's about it. I mean, I think we'll close it out on that. We have we have plenty more content for numerous episodes. We're gonna try to pump these out every week, but don't get too upset if we don't follow through with that, because we'll do our best to work out the kinks and potentially maybe even get this on actual podcast format. But for now, we're gonna keep fine tuning it, and hopefully enjoyed our inaugural trip down SNEWS.
The SNEWS episode 1.
It's just like free ride, sometimes you don't got to run out.
Yeah, sometimes you know. Sometimes the first run you're like, oh,
Sometimes you hit the ground real hard and it's real humbling.
yeah, but then you go left or right, you bob and weave and it'll pop out.
Or you hike up the whole mountain and get the
Sick as
helicopter
fuck.
in the air, and then you're like, okay, and then you don't ride it nearly as fast as you wanted to, and you're like,
So
well,
you're
that's-
saying slow down.
so I just ruined that first clip. So anyways, hopefully it wasn't any of those scenarios for you guys. Hopefully this was a home run and you'll be tuning in. But yeah,
Yeah, tell us what you like. You want some
comment below.
some tech tips, some bike interviews. So we'll talk to your tires. Any of that? Just let us know. Just kidding. We don't give a fuck.
Definitely not getting used that. Leave some comments below. Let us know what you like and what you don't like. We're not scared by the critiquing. We only get better by the proper candor. Can't even speak. I'm getting wasted too.
Yeah, send us stuff you want us to talk about. If you think it's cool, we'll talk about
Show
it.
us your tits.
If not, we probably won't.
Yeah. Don't be shy in the comments. Just let them rip. We're only gonna get
Can't hurt
better.
Our feelings.
We're only gonna get better with your critiquing, and we appreciate the candor. So, thanks for paying attention to the SNEWS, and I don't know, catchphrase.
Our address is below if you want to send us beer.
There's your catchphrase.